Donald Trump wants British warships to help defend oil shipments. It comes just days after he said he didn't need the Royal Navy's help, and as his Iran war enters its third week, with missiles and drones striking across the region.
The global and regional struggle against Iran is escalating and entering the decisive phase that will continue as long as necessary.
Also tonight, the Chancellor pledges help for those hit by soaring energy bills as a result of the war. A huge sandstorm adds to the struggle of millions of displaced Palestinians in Gaza and...
Steps up to win the Six Nations for France!
Six Nations heartbreak for England and Ireland as France remain champions by the thinnest of margins.
This is ITV News.
Good evening. US President Donald Trump has called on the UK and other nations to help protect oil shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Trade has essentially ground to a halt on the route, which is used for about a fifth of the world's oil. It comes as the Iran war enters its third week and with no end in sight. In the past 24 hours, America has struck Iran, which has hit the Gulf states, and Israel, which has again attacked Lebanon. Mahatir Pasha reports.
6,000 Iranian targets have been struck since this war began, according to the US military. But President Donald Trump may have just raised the stakes in Operation Epic Fury. The US has, quote, obliterated Iranian military targets on Khag Island, an export terminal for 90% of the country's oil shipments. Trump claimed he had deliberately chosen not to wipe out oil infrastructure on the small island off the coast of Iran, but warned that decision could change depending on how Iran chooses to operate in the Strait of Hormuz. That strait is a vital waterway for global energy shipments, but has effectively been shut since the war began, prompting oil prices to soar. Just days after saying he no longer needed the UK's help to win the war, Trump has now said on social media, hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK and others will send ships to the area so that the Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat. Previously, the White House had said that the US Navy would escort tankers through the straits. But there are still no exact timelines for when that's happening. No doubt this war is taking its toll on Iran. Reportedly, around 1,500 people have so far been killed. Today, a military funeral was held in Tehran for another senior government official. Northwest of the capital, rescue teams scoured through the destruction left from an airstrike on a residential village in the Ghazvin province. 1,100 miles west, Lebanon is also reeling from this war. Israel's aerial bombardment, which it says is targeting Iran-backed Hezbollah, has led to almost 800 deaths, including around 100 children. The country's largest sports stadium transformed into refuge for displaced people. If its actions are tough, so too are the words from America's partner in this war.
The global and regional struggle against Iran, led by US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, is escalating and entering the decisive phase that will continue as long as necessary.
But the wounded Iran isn't backing down, with several regions across Israel coming under attack from Iranian missiles throughout the day. And plumes of black smoke surrounding the US embassy compound in Baghdad, as well as a major energy depot in the UAE, both of which were reportedly hit following the US strikes on Khag Island. In spite of more calls for a stop, including from its Palestinian ally Hamas, Iranian missiles and drones will continue to pose a threat to its Middle Eastern neighbours. As the war enters its third week, fears of global consequences are only growing. Mahatir Pasha, ITV News.
Here, those affected by surging energy costs as a result of the war could be in line for government help. Chancellor Rachel Reeves said the Treasury is looking at options for when the next energy price cap expires at the end of June. And those who rely on oil for their heating could get help as soon as next week, after their costs doubled since the start of the war. The Chancellor told The Times, "I have found the money and we've worked through with MPs and others a response for people who are not protected by the energy price cap." She says, "We're giving greater support to those who really need it." On top of the man-made crisis in the Middle East, a natural emergency hit the region today. A violent sandstorm that stretched from Turkey to Egypt, bringing high winds and low visibility. Its effects were felt most severely in Gaza, where it created even more misery for millions of displaced Palestinians. Sabah Chowdhury reports.
In battle-scarred Gaza, there's a new threat. A sandstorm is sweeping across the enclave, turning the air orange. And for people already driven from their homes by war, this is another test of survival. Even if the weather were better, Ali said, the tents are unsuitable. The situation has become much more difficult than before. Plus, now the worries are even greater and one can barely open their eyes. What can I say? The situation speaks for itself. The powerful winds ripping through Gaza's makeshift camps offer little protection for its displaced population, nearing 2 million, many of whom are children, their parents resorting to desperate measures to keep them safe. The phenomenon was felt across the region, from Cairo to Tel Aviv and Beirut, but nowhere has it felt quite like this. In Gaza's camps, the wind and dust are just the latest assault on lives already torn apart by war. Sabah Chowdhury, ITV News.
A woman has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a baby fell from a block of flats. Police were called to a residential address in Westminster this morning. The 18-day-old baby girl was taken to hospital and later died. A 43-year-old woman was taken into custody at the scene. And the former actor John Alford has been found dead in prison. The 54-year-old who appeared in Grange Hill and London's Burning was jailed 2 months ago for sexually assaulting 2 teenage girls. Fly tippers could be banned from driving as part of a new crackdown. Courts are to be given powers to punish criminals convicted of illegal dumping by adding penalty points to their licence, which can lead to suspension. Jake Robson has more.
An ever-increasing, never-ending mess. But could a government crackdown finally be the deterrent on fly tipping many are calling for? There were more than 1.2 million recorded incidents last year in England alone, involving lorries, vans and cars, and it's drivers specifically that the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, plan to target. Small van loads continue to be the most used vehicle, just ahead of the car boot category. But DEFRA hopes to clamp down on anyone looking to dump anything from a single domestic item to lorry loads of industrial waste. With penalty points or even driving bans in the pipeline, one prominent campaigner says tougher measures can't come soon enough.
Anything that can help to deter, anything that gives the police more powers, absolutely welcome it, because it's affecting people's lives. And a lot of money is being made, a lot of profit is being made from this at the expense of the local residents, which are the people I represent and the people that I'm concerned about.
Fines simply aren't working. DEFRA hopes its new waste crime action plan will restore pride in Britain's neighbourhoods. And although any driving penalties would require legislation, there does appear to be cross-party support, with ministers hoping offenders will be deterred by the threat of having their vehicles seized, thus making it harder for serial offenders. Jake Robson, ITV News.
Football now, and history was made tonight by an Arsenal teenager. Another teenager made history in today's qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli became the youngest driver ever to win pole position in the sport.
It's Kimi Antonelli on pole position, the youngest pole sitter.
The 19-year-old made it to the front of the grid when his Mercedes teammate George Russell had technical problems and slipped to second. And in the last few minutes, Formula One has confirmed that next month's Bahrain and Saudi Grand Prix have been cancelled as expected due to the conflict in the Middle East. And finally, the most dramatic season ever in the Six Nations could have gone three ways today. Scotland, Ireland and France all had a chance. And in the end, it all came down to the very last kick of the whole tournament. Here's Chris Scudder. And that's it from us today. The weather forecast is next. But from all of us here, thanks for watching and good night.